chill.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to VFX and Chill. This is a live weekly talk show where myself, Hashi, my good friend Seth here, and our mystery hidden friend Michael like to break down visual effects and then try to put them back together again, by which I mean recreate them with too little time and not enough preparation. But today we decided to talk about I believe this is a dance film based on the title of our episode. Is that right?
We're finally doing dance. It's been, the people have asked for it. They've wanted it. We're finally doing a dance episode. Hashi and I will be dancing the entirety of the episode. And starting
we really
with
should have cammed the lower half so you could see the fancy footwork. But I mean,
everyone here agrees it's our better half. As our lower half as a unit. Speaking of halves, if in case you've forgotten, there is a playlist on our VFX and Chill channel, which I believe is called something like episodes where we take our shirts off. I always forget about it, and then when I go to do maintenance on our channel, I rediscover that we made that one time and it exists. So don't forget to check that out. We created it. That's right, Frakes. So
we created it.
Speaking of
absolutely.
The YouTube channel, the URL that's there at the bottom. Hashi, what is so important about that URL?
Well, what's important about that URL is that right now, this show, VFX and Chill, is going out to a multitude of channels. So you may be watching it here on our very own VFX and Chill channel, but you're quite likely watching it on the Red Giant YouTube or the Maxon or Maxon Training Team YouTube or potentially Action Movie Dad, some weeks Action Movie Kids as well. But I encourage you to go to this address on your screen. That is our official channel. It's where the big chat lives. It's the one that I'll see live during the show along with Seth. And we just encourage you to come over here. It makes our bosses happy that we get more subs to the channel. So I'm shilling for subscribers and likes and views.
Do it. Another thing you can also do
now,
you can go to maxonvfx.com/chillbox and you can suggest things, by the way, too. Like what we talk about on the show or what we do in the shadows or what we do out of the shadows in the light. I'm forgetting what I'm supposed to be saying, so I'm saying other things until I remember.
Suggestions.
Suggestion boxes. Yes.
Nick Smith is asking, is the dancing logo still a thing?
Is it still a thing? Does this answer your question? Does it, Nick? Are your questions answered? No, unfortunately.
Sure no.
I don't have the dance drop anymore. Although, is this it?
Track it.
Technically, there is dancing involved. So no.
Incredible. So speaking of dancing, we are covering a movie that's actually just kind of a cheat to get us into a type of visual effect we want to cover. But there's a new movie called Ballerina. I don't remember how they say it's like a chapter in the John Wick universe.
Is it a chapter? Like I think it's a, what do you call another book in the series?
It's
something.
It's another book in the...
the John Wick series of novels. Yes, it's called Ballerina. Where was that trailer? He asked longingly. Did you give me the trailer or what did you give me?
It's in footage and then for show.
From the world of John Wick. That's it.
From the world of John Wick.
It's
we're going to skip around in this trailer a little bit. It turned
what
out
if
to be
trailers
much
did say
less
that,
about
by the
dancing.
Way? What if they said from the world that brought you? Like no one remotely involved with a property made something and they were like from the world that brought you John Wick. Like they just mean the planet Earth. You think that
I like that.
Yeah, I do like it too. Anyway, proceed with the show.
Clever.
If you are a fan of these John Wickerton films, they center around a lot of ridiculous action. And the action is highly choreographed and has some incredible human performances. But today we wanted to talk about how a lot of the time, to make these human performances seem even more dangerous or feel like people are even more in peril, VFX are enlisted. We've talked about this sort of thing when we talked about Mission Impossible, but I feel like, John Wick is an amazing example of people pulling out all the stops. It has incredible choreography, and it also has really, really high-level invisible effects. Or I'll say invisible effects. Some people probably know their effects, but
some of the effects are invisible. Like, people obviously knew that the cars fight scene, the cars, the roundabout around the Arc de Triomphe, they obviously knew some of that was fake. But more of it was fake than most people realized. But also that some of those scenes, like where they're breaking glass, like people thought the glass was real, but it's CG glass throughout.
Hashi, I feel like we could spend a whole episode.
I'm going to interrupt you just for a second to say that really.
What were you going to say?
Sometimes, like, I love that these movies are built around ideas that someone was probably screaming at every meeting they had about it. Like, can we do flamethrower versus fire hose? No.
Yeah. Somebody's had this idea that they were, it's like Rick in the corner has been wanting flamethrower versus fire hose. I love that you gave him like he's nervous.
Just trying every time, like we made 3 of these. How did we not get to my idea? They're like, it's really hard to work in. And then he finally probably wrangled himself a producer cred on this one and was like, it's going in.
I'm getting my giant mechanical spider. So that's a reference that I'm not going to explain. If you get it, you're wonderful. You get it. I feel like we could spend a whole episode on this shot, just setting up the simulation and watching it and never rendering anything. We've done plenty of episodes like that. I'm sure we'll do it in the future. But today we want to talk about how to juice up action stuff in post. And a big part of that, what we're talking about here, I think there's a really killer breakdown. Is this it? Is it Parabellum, or which one is it? It was
It's the Parabellum breakdown, I think. So mild content warning here. We're going to show some really cool visual effects. You'll see that they're breakdowns and see that they are fake, but some of them involve intense moments. But we can go ahead and roll it and
just be aware. I'm trying to get rid of my desktop. No one needs to look at my desktop there. Okay. This is obviously Method Studios. They're a breakdown. This sequence. So this, we're just going to pause it a lot. Movie
and had no idea that the glass was fake. I knew that the end of the blades were. They have a lot of. They do like the knife fight of all knife fights, where they do everything that you expect, or you always maybe hope you would see in a knife fight in a movie.
Tons of knife
some
throwing.
Very brutal moments.
So much knife throwing.
Knives are dangerous, and the scariest thing about them is that they're flying around and fast and sharp, but so is glass. And so this scene has a whole host of both. And I watched this whole sequence assuming they were just working with some cool breakaway glass as stunt people. Yeah. I had no idea. Okay.
And the knives. I want to talk about the knives real quick. I love this kind of visual effects where you're shooting almost basically everything. You're doing incredible stunts, but there's one invisible thing, like the most dangerous thing, or like the big variable that is a tiny visual element of the scene, but it's like everything's pivoting on it, which in this case is a knife. Like the knives are the danger. They are the thing that is causing the damage and allowing the fight to happen.
They are the danger,
and they are not there. It's like it's similar to, there's no danger in this, no stakes in this situation, but like we talked about last week, the ping pong ball in Forrest Gump, that's the thing the scene is about. And it's not there. We're adding it in post, allowing us to make believe and and giving us freedom to essentially play on camera. And then we can add this stuff in post. And these are my favorite kind of visual effects shots to watch people choreograph and put together. The whole idea that he's just pretending to throw knives, and we're going to add them hitting the guy. It's so much like being a little kid and playing and then getting to actually, fulfill it. Okay. Did you want to talk about this one?
Including this very violent shot.
Yeah.
Which,
okay. incredible.
So as you can kind of tell by that, a lot of what has to happen in situations like this is a lot of rotomation, where you are reconstructing the whole scene in 3D once it's 3D tracked. And then on top of that, you're grabbing stand-ins of the characters, because in a situation like this, you either have shards of glass bouncing off of the geometry of people, or knives where the blade needs to penetrate and disappear into geometry that is tracked really tight to these characters. So it's a whole lot of layers and a whole lot of consideration.
You can't do you can't do a collapsing knife in that kind of scene because it's right up there, up close and personal. And I guess I don't want to watch it in motion too many times. It's just horrifying. But this allows you to get away with a super detailed shot like this without having to cut to, a dummy, or having to like go wide with a collapsing knife or anything. You watch the Scream movies, they're the ones from the 90s. There's a lot of these stab shots that are just with a collapsing knife, like the kind you see in Knives Out, in a pivotal moment of Knives Out. But nowadays I think it's probably much more common and much easier to do, even on shots that aren't a close-up like this, but like wide shots of just let the knives be CG and keep everyone incredibly safe, because even the collapse, and that's not the right word for it, but the retracting knife, you can still hurt somebody with it if you hit it at the wrong angle. There's, the
or put it in someone's eye, in this case.
Yes, or someone's eye. Anyway, I went off on a whole tangent. The point is, I know about knives. I watched it again. Nice. Oh, God.
Sorry.
All right, one more content warning. This one's pretty rough, but it's incredibly awesome. We're about to get an axe to a head here. Fake axe. Look at that.
So Method just went to town with all of these effects, and so many of them, like, look at this stuff. It was so convincing to me, the glass in this scene.
Me too.
Now, there's a scene later in the movie where the environment is a little bit more hyper-real than this. This one feels like such a grounded location. Like, I understand exactly what a room like this is like. And so the digital enhancements slide past you.
Did Method also do those glass scenes that you're talking about?
I believe so.
Oh, yeah, like...
Yeah, right here. Room? It's this...
Yeah.
There's this aesthetic in John Wick that is sort of this, neon, hyper-reflective world where... I would say it looks very realistic, but it's in this very bizarre, pushed way where, like, I've never been in a room like that,
That's probably what it is. You've been in so many knife rooms, but you've not been in a glass room before. We got to get you in a glass room, bud. They're really cool.
I know.
Get you out of
maybe people who spend more time in rooms that look like this,
knife rooms
they were like, I could tell it was fake. But,
you're standing in it like fake, start breaking things, Glass Onion style. So the chapter 2, by the way, has one of my favorite sequences to watch and get stressed out as a VFX artist, which is the Hall of Mirrors. I mean, this glass sequence in 3 is that, but in 2, there's an entire thing in a room of mirrors, like a maze of mirrors, and it's nuts. Like how much camera paint out had to be involved there. The other thing we're not going to really talk about it because I don't know what to do about it on the show, but this is all the fight stuff in the glass, of course. But the ninjas on the motorcycles is one of the most fun things. I don't know if it's in this reel. I mean, this is fun, but there's a whole thing of him of them on green motorcycle, like on a green screen on green motorcycles. I don't know if it's in this reel, but it's very funny. You should look it up. The
also, like, that also was a scene that I was amazed was not a ragdoll sim. Is that huge alleyway fall? Look at, I mean, I think it's a stitched together, 2 stunts stitched together, but still.
Yeah. The alleyway fall. Yes. There's stunts happening in it. 100%.
Incredible.
Where is it? Let's see. Here we go.
So the whole idea of
look at
using
that
a real
stunt.
performer.
That's such a good stunt. My God.
Ouch. Ow.
God, I love it so much.
Incredible.
Will this episode have spoilers for John Wick 4? Jaspax is asking because they haven't seen it yet. Jaspax, I haven't seen any John Wick movie.
My son would
Not
tell
that
you.
I don't want to. I just haven't.
My son would tell you to watch like 3 and 4. I think 4 is one of my absolute favorites. It's probably my favorite John Wick movie. And we talk about 4. There are spoilers for 4 in our other episode where we do a little loop-de-loop. But I'm trying to think if there's anything. No, not today. No 4 spoilers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So to kick us off, I guess, it seems that using real performers doing dangerous things on film, is that a new development? Would we say in film history?
What was the question?
Would you say that using like real people in fake danger? It's not. I wouldn't necessarily call that a new part of film history.
Ideally,
right?
that is what action filmmaking is.
That's a good point.
Safe people pretending to be in dangerous situations. That's the ideal and the baseline for what we want it to be.
Hollywood from the beginning has been doing stunts that look more dangerous than they are.
There it
due to
is.
Camera
That's what you're
trickery
looking
or something.
for. My bad.
I'm thinking of that that real old one of the dude hanging off the clock over the town square. Like, sure, that
safety
looks really
last.
dangerous.
Is safety last in here?
Should be, but he's over a pad that's not very far down.
Here we go.
Yeah,
Harold
that's the
Lloyd.
one.
I was clearly setting up this.
Thank
you.
So,
this is a cute little reel that someone put together where they do some examples of these iconic shots that look very dangerous, of course, and that's where the excitement comes from. But they were also constructed in a clever way. So like this is filmed on, it is actually filmed up high on a building, but not about to fall to the depth that you see there, which is pretty cool. And then another very famous one that goes around a lot is this Charlie Chaplin roller skating.
Yeah, this one's so good.
Bit. And I might do a little example that's actually effectively this technique.
Ooh, so good.
It's so great.
It's modern times.
Modern times, and check it out. Done with a good old classic matte painting on.
You know
glass.
what drop we need? We need to shoot the glass drop.
Shoot the glass.
Shoot the glass. I'm Arnold now.
Incredible. Love it. The rest of these are more kind of like double exposure examples and stuff like that.
But the
we
truth
don't need
is,
them as much. But
these are all so fun because they have the.
They show that this is really all that we've ever wanted to do was make it look like people were in more danger than they are. So, Seth, I think that we should, unless we want to review any more existing stunts that look more dangerous than they are, maybe we could take a quick break and then come back to trying to recreate or talk about how we might simulate some of this stuff.
Hashi, that's a damn fine idea. Let's do it. We'll be right back after this.
Hey, you're watching VFX and chill. That is a great choice.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're talking about John Wick, specifically Ballerina, a John Wick story, in which we are really going to be talking mainly about action VFX and how to take scenes that you shot in a safe situation and make them look even more dangerous in post. I've got a plate that I shot. I've got a couple things I'm going to talk about. Things you can do, like very simple things that you probably already know, but I think are always worth reminding people. Things you can do to make fight scenes look more real and convincing
nice.
in post. Hashi, what are you going to be doing?
There are a couple things that I may try doing. One, I might work a little bit backwards. I can show people a result and then sort of show people how I put it together, which could be a kind of fun one to do. I'm sharing my screen now, I think.
All right.
So I can show...
real quick, Blake, I don't think they had a sensor tracker on the camera. I mean, it's possible, but it's not super common to my knowledge to have that convenient of a thing. And anyway, but we can find out. Hashi, what did you do?
So I wanted to play this little clip that I was inspired to make this week. I figure, we talked about subs at the top of the show and submarines. And so I figured that, YouTube gold play button would be something that we might really covet on this show. And so, but this is the wrong way to go about it.
Oh, no. Is this Connolly's? Are you stealing this from Connolly?
Sorry, Connolly. It's ours now.
I love that cartoonish walk away bit at the end. It's so good.
That's how Hashi walks. It's hard for his upper body to carry heavy items.
Have you ever seen me at NAB anywhere else?
Yes.
Is the cartoon
what?
The cartoon villain walk come when you grow the goatee?
It grows as he walks.
That's what happened. This is definitely inspired by after seeing Matto's amazing submission last week for the Our Clones episode.
Oh yeah, you gave him a good. I think I have that still. We're talking about this one, of course, in which his performance is wacky and his multiple performances are wacky, cartoonish, and very fun.
And do go, subscribe, follow, whatever that.
Here we go. Ready?
That TikTok account.
Villains always run leg forward.
Already,
boom.
But
See ya.
So great. You wrote us after the show to say thanks for featuring it and stuff, and shared some additional behind the scenes info that we'll have to share sometime. We'll have to get it downloaded so we can play it better.
We will have to. So that's fun.
I decided to do.
How'd you do this?
So I can break down this after a little while. What kind of a shot are you going to work on, Seth?
I've got a little something I call this silliness. This is my daughter, Olivia. Here's the thing.
And a dog.
Yeah, and my dog, Lorraine. So here's the thing that we talked about last week and the week before. Hashi and I we're doing shooting plates for stuff for the show. We do great with clone shots because we have no one. We have our families and no one else. We work alone in our offices like sad hobbits. And I guess that would be happy for hobbits. And in situations like this where we need to film plates, I need a plate of someone punching me or me punching someone. I felt that, so I got my daughter to help me.
I know we're all hoping which way this one goes.
Yes. Very quickly, I ruled out one of those options. No one wanted to sit here and watch me abuse my daughter. That's just for me and her. Gross. I hate that I said that. It's not funny. So she punches me. That's what I asked her to do, showed her how to do. It's just and I was hoping and got it, thankfully, that we'd get these shots where there's no contact, obviously, between the fist and the face. And also where, mainly there's no contact and it's not very convincing. And so I'm going to take some of these punches and you do a couple things to try and make them more convincing. That's my plan here. And it's going to be tricky with my dog running around in the background. Also, I shot it in a room full of glass. But yeah. So, Hashi, obviously you already did the glass shot. Are you going to recreate it or what's your plan?
Yeah, I might just run through a quick recreation of it. Because this one was actually super simple, and I might try to do a more complicated version during the show. But this was an all After Effects special, because that's the meat and potatoes of the compositing kind of thing. So here we go. So here's this shot that I have of me running up, and obviously there's no glass here, but I am, mimic that there's some glass, and that I, like awkwardly reach in to try to grab this play button and run away with it. So to start constructing a fake glass scene, there were several things that I decided to do to make this happen. So the first was I also shot from a second camera that was placed over here. Let me see if I can make this a little bit more obvious. So I was filming from this angle right here, and I also just placed my iPhone camera on another stand over here. And so what that gives me is it gives me two views of this action.
Hashi, do you think someone would be stupid enough to put the camera from the point of view?
It's stupid.
I'm going to turn that off.
All of it.
Do you think, yeah, he's right, but do you think anyone would be silly enough to put the camera from inside the cabinet's perspective, thinking that that is what the reflection should look like?
That would be an easy thing to think, and evidenced by people who don't know how a mirror can see like a bottle of shampoo around a piece of paper on a mirror. Videos that have gone very viral for whatever reason.
What?
I think people don't understand mirrors. So if you want a fun little breakdown of this, we did one, and so did the whole team from, oh goodness, why am I going blank? Jordy and Company.
Oh, yeah, Cinecom.
Cinecom.
Is it
Cinecom.net.
Cine something?
I think it's Cinecom.
Cinemax. It's Cinemax.
Good gravy. Did a great example of how this works. So I probably even have my diagram video somewhere. But the way reflection works is it would be as if there were another one of me just past here. And so the way you film that is you figure out what is the angle that you're facing the reflective plane at, and imagine if there's a reflection of the camera over here on the other side of the glass, it should be pointed in the reflecting angle of it. Does that make sense?
I know what you mean. What I'm getting at is even me, a super intelligent, smart, accomplished, award-winning person, my first thought was, oh, you probably, for the reflection, you put the camera inside the cabinet, right? And then you painted it out. And then the second I saw your reflection camera, like footage, I was like, oh, you're dumb, Seth. That's what you were supposed to do. And I wondered how far I would get before I realized how wrong I was.
No, and I do have a Cheap Tricks episode
VFX side quest,
or a side quest, VFX side quest about the Matrix mirror.
And the link for that is in the chat.
Oh,
so everyone watch the magic of this. So I've explained for too long, but I filmed this from two angles. But if I were to take this other piece of footage and look at it like this, do a horizontal flip on it, what you should see is that this, if I turn its opacity down, should look basically like a mirror of this object and the way that I am faced there. And in fact, if I imagine that the contact point is right when my elbow is about to hit the glass or something like that, I could go to the frame before I think I make contact with the glass, take this piece of footage that I filmed from a different angle, place it right here, and if I just do a little mask or something like that, you can see that this looks an awful lot like a mirror of this exact angle. Isn't that cool?
It's very cool.
I think it's cool.
It's so fun. It's just like the simplest trick, but it's very, very cool. So basically what I did was I had this piece of footage. I did this I realized that it didn't go tall enough, so I added some reptile to the top and expanded it upward using the unfold method. So it just adds a little bit more to the top of the reflection there. So there we go. Now I have this, and I just made a little mask that sort of matched up with the front of this cabinet roughly and tried to kind of go straight up and down with it. And then once I had this piece placed, I'm going to turn its opacity back up to 100%, so it's like a mirror. And then I'm going to pre-compose this layer and all of its effects and just call this the glass surface. So now I just have one layer that just is representing that. And from there, I can start to do my dumb little simulation. And for this simulation, I decided to use none other than the wonderful shatter effect in After Effects.
Yeah, I saw the word shadow come up, and then you said shatter, and I thought it was you were saying it with an accent.
Shadow effect.
They're my old shadow effect.
Shatter is a beautiful and silly old little simulation tool that does, you can see by that little wireframe preview, something like bricks being busted away like that. The properties of shatter that are animatable are these two forces and their radius. So if the radius is small, nothing happens. The surface just sits there. But then as soon as the radius grows, so say I put a keyframe for this radius right here at 0 and then decided to expand this radius like that. In fact, I can move the, I can move the radius over to where the elbow is about to hit it, like that. And now you see that you get this sort of very goofy punch-out effect. But surprisingly, this can work really well. So, Seth, you're welcome to jump back to you at any point too.
I mean, like yours is a more detailed process than mine is. I'm still breaking mine up into just to fill people in on what I'm doing. I'm going through and just finding all the punches that we shot, and I'm cutting them out and putting them in their own pre-comps. And then I'm going to go through and figure out what the best solutions are for each of them and try and solve each of them, hopefully using different techniques, but we'll see.
Speaking of different techniques, Alonso Perez Yaksik was talking about doing the Roadhouse technique.
Yes, I looked this up. I was asking him about it.
Yeah, so he's been going in the chat explaining it in detail. Basically, they throw the punch 3 different ways. Someone throwing a punch with no contact, then throwing the punch, hitting a pad, then the receiver getting hit with a pad, and they composite all 3 of them together. So you get the force of hitting like on the puncher and on the one getting hit.
So there's no way in hell that they did that for every single hit in the movie. In fact, the interview I found on Before Afters, Grant Hewlett, who is I believe, fight coordinator. Oh, wait, hang on. Let me double check. Grant Hewlett is the production. Oh, VFX soup. Sorry. Talking about this A/B process, which if I'm getting right, this is what Alonso's talking about. Was this idea of this A/B pad method where they shot a pass where everyone was wearing helmets and pads, and then they shot a pass where everyone wasn't. The thing is, I don't know what they do with that. I don't know what they would do with the A side of stuff. The process sounded like a neat idea to have maximum control on the VFX side to really control your shot. But one of my guesses is that the result of this meant a handful of unwieldy, really difficult to seam together VFX pieces for some shots. That it would have been great if they had just done them no or fake contacted the way a traditional stunt team would have done. So once we were happy with these 2 passes, okay, hang on. Fights were initially choreographed in the traditional way by the stunt coordinator Garrett Warren. He called this the Hollywood pass. Essentially, the first pass is like a filmed rehearsal. Helps get the actors and camera operator dialed in on the moves. Within the fights, there are some natural breaks like body wipes and whip pans that were planned to help keep the continuous camera feel, but also allow us to break up the fights into smaller beats. Once we had the Hollywood pass, we started working on each beat, filming first the A side. The A side is the attacker punching a pad. Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. In the position where the person being attacked's head or body might be. We shot multiple passes of this using video playback to get a lineup to our master tape. Okay, Alonzo, you were right. I misunderstood this article. Shot multiple passes of this using video playback to get a lineup to our master take, the Hollywood pass. Already this is tedious work, but it sounds cool. Once we were happy with the A side, moved to the B side. The B side is the person being attacked, being hit with a pad. We again shot multiple passes using the previous A side takes for our video playback lineup. Once we were happy with these two passes, we looked at the footage and made a note of any large areas of the actors that were occluded by pads and shot a slow action pass. A slow action pass was the A and B side without pads, with the actors fighting in slow motion. These slow motion passes gave us clean shots with minimal motion blur to use when we later needed to composite passes that contained pads. After all these passes, we shot clean backgrounds and any additional background action required for the shots. Wow. It's a lot of work. And they did say, first of all, not all fights were shot using the A-B pad method. Some fights were shot for real with us tweaking timing and passes to create some more visceral impacts. A-B fight method I'm about to describe is the most complex of the setups and was only used in some instances. It's a cool idea, though. And I'd be interested to see, like, doesn't look like there's a breakdown on here of it. I'd love to see a visual breakdown of.
It's just, I'm sure it's just a lot.
I've seen really one video breakdown of it somewhere. I can't remember where though.
Tedious Morphs would be a great band name.
Tedious and what?
Tedious Morphs.
Tedious Morphs is a philosopher that I follow. So
you've broken down each of the contact points, basically, or each strike.
I'm getting every... Oh, me? I'm just pulling every punch that happens here, and then I'm going to find my favorite ones and make some...
just pulling punches.
Pulling punches, my man. So...
Incredible. So over here, what I've done is the way that the shatter effect opens up, it's in this wireframe view that kind of shows you what the pieces look like. And so you can sort of start to imagine the animation. And sometimes it's faster to preview it this way because it's a very old plugin. I have no idea what it's running on. But you can select different patterns like a brick shape or this carpenter wheel kind of shape, like, or a herringbone, if you like.
Herringbone.
But I specifically want glass. And, it's this nice little repeating pattern like that. One kind of cool thing you can do in the shatter effect is you can actually use your own input image that has 4 or 5 different color shapes, and it'll actually create a little vector map in between them to shatter it. But it's a little bit cumbersome, and because of the way the aliasing works and things like that, it always has these bizarre little floating pixels that might be connected for whatever reason. I've had a lot of trouble getting a super, super good result using that method. But if I switch the view up here from wireframe to rendered, you'll see what I have now is you'll see the little mirror kind of plane. And when I do it, there's a cool little shatter that happens. I turned up the gravity a lot because there is a little gravity slider down here. I think it's initially set at something like 10, so it's a very MoGraph kind of like, and you see all the pieces kind of fly around like that. Because it's usually supposed to be, it's probably like, your logo from 1998 shattering apart. But what I do love about this...
Could you put the shatter on a 3D layer to rotate it? And
you actually could. So what you would need to do in this case would be, you know what? Why don't we do it? Let's try. Okay. So I'm going to delete my shatter effect. Actually, let's make a copy of it. So here's the shatter effect, at a mirror kind of setting, and I'm purely doing this in 2D. Like everything is breaking relative to it just being flat to camera or whatever. So the glass is flying out when I'm hitting forward and stuff. So there's a lot of, incorrect stuff happening here. But
You're
surprisingly,
wrong.
if you make this, semi-transparent, it really just does look a lot like a piece of glass. Fools your brain, I think. But yes, Shatter is one of the weird old school plugins in After Effects that if I solo right here and turn its opacity all the way up, if I were to add a camera into this comp and rotate the camera, oops, I'm looking through the camera.
Michael Powlick says it's a good thing you're wearing safety glasses in this video.
Wait, am I wrong that it reacts to the camera?
I think
I have to tell it. Maybe I need to go into. Oh, here we go. You have to go into Shatter and say Comp Camera. There we go. So once you've selected Comp Camera, look at this. Look at that.
So you can't turn the layer into a 3D layer, but the effect is camera aware. Basically, is the answer to that question. Jason Murphy is shocked you didn't add light sweep to the edges.
No light sweep in this, baby. Okay, so
Doesn't mean there
now
can't
that
be
we
light
know that we
sweep.
can do this, I want to get this going as a 3D situation. So what we're going to need for that is a little bit of silliness, okay? So we have to think about this in a kind of weird way. Let me turn on a copy of my glass surface without the shatter effect. And in fact, I'm going to, I think I can leave it just like this. Right now, this surface is just faked at an angle. It's just my mask shape. So if I applied the effect to this called power pin, one cool thing that you can do with power pin, and it's actually how my 3D plane stamp plugin works. If I disable the effect for a moment, I can just see the little edges like this. And I can move these 4 edges to match the kind of perspective of this little plane of glass. And we'll pretend that this is square up here. I'm not sure if it would actually be starting to angle down in reality or whatever, but I'll just pretend that it happened to be flat right exactly at the top of frame. So if I set these 4 corner pins like that, and I turn the effect on, it's going to look weird. But if I go down here and check unstretch, it's going to create this cool thing. And what this thing is it is my surface being stretched into a flat plane. And the reason you would want this is if I turn this into a 3D object now, add a camera, and now I back away from it in 3D and arrange the camera to be kind of at the same angle of the footage, it's going to sort of undistort itself to look like the proper shape. Kind of neat, right?
Very neat.
So I think that this camera should be a little bit more zoomed in. I think I'm getting too much foreshortening. And also, I think that for my power pin effect, I might need to extend the edges a little bit like that, because I think if I go to if I press F10 for my front view, I could start stretching the 2 edges like this until I see that I'm proportionally a little bit more at the right aspect ratio.
So speaking of 3D plane stamp, by the way, for those of you who would like to enjoy this lovely free tool, the link to get it is in the chat, and you should watch that video after this one's done.
It's a super handy tool, especially if you're just doing some basic kind of matte painting kind of effects or manipulation in After Effects. It's a very fun one. So here we go. I'm trying to kind of use my camera now to approximate what is the mirror shape. Because if everyone follows me there. So what's cool about all this is that now that this effect is there, I can add, I believe, the shatter effect to this. I'll see what happens here. If I add shatter, yes, you can see that the shatter pattern is actually now in the correct perspective of the camera right here. And I'll do all the same steps as I did before. I'll turn the shape to glass, the extrusion depth down to 0.02 or something like that. And I'll move the first impact point to be, it actually is right kind of in the center now. I'll leave it right there in the center, but I'll have the radius be at 0 just before the hit, which is maybe right here. And then right after the hit, I'll have the radius go up to around here. Okay. Oh, I see an issue already, which is I don't know if my glass is going to render down past camera. Let's see. Will it? Won't it? Let's go over here and say, switch this to rendered. Okay, nuts. Okay, so it's in the right perspective now, but because the whole frame isn't within this frame, it's not rendering outside of itself. And I'm curious if there's a way to make it do that, or if we need to fake it by making this whole plane bigger, which starts to defeat some of my, is about this process working. I need to scale this whole plane up a little bit like this, and then use my power pin effect to shrink down the shape of my reflection in it, which works. It just feels like I'm losing resolution somewhere in here. I don't know how well I can describe out loud what I'm doing right now.
No, I feel kind of right now I'm doing so much experimentation. I'm not sure this is going to be useful to anybody watching it.
So, yeah, what I've just discovered is that this using the 3D shatter effect properly in 3D, it's only going to render within the layer as it appears in 3D. So right now, I need to sort of position my whole 3D card so that it covers this whole side of the frame. And then I need to use the CC power pin effect to reposition the pixels of my reflection within there so they cover everything. So it's a helpful idea and also makes it a little bit more complicated. Whoops. So I appreciate that we're trying it. I appreciate we're figuring it out. Okay, here we go.
The layer is, okay, go ahead.
So now, interesting. Oh, you know what?
What?
I shouldn't have made the glass surface layer 3D to begin with. Someone probably said it in the comments.
I said it out loud a minute ago.
You said it out loud. I wasn't listening. I'm so sorry, everyone.
Anytime you have a 3D aware effect like red giant geo, trap code particular, element, this.
How did I get that far not recognizing?
I really don't know.
I was totally doing it the wrong way here. That's embarrassing. Oh, it was because I decided to set the camera before adding the shatter effect, and that was the whole point.
That's what happens.
Dang it. Sorry, everyone. I wasted your time. What I was supposed to do is I was supposed to add the shatter effect without ever making that layer 3D. Back here after I'd done the whole power pin thing. And then I could say rendered, and I could say set the radius to 0. And now is when I should have positioned the camera after telling this to use the comp camera. There we go. Dang it. It's so much easier, and I feel bad for wasting everybody's time. But we did it, right? All right. What time have we got here?
12:53. So I might as well talk about some of the stuff I'm doing over here. So I've got this shot here where Olivia is punching me rather slowly. And if we go frame by frame, you can see I start moving before the hand actually hits me. So I'm going to show you.
Classic.
This is like the cheapest trick. I don't even need to be doing this in After Effects. I can do this. I could be doing this in Premiere or Final Cut. This is just an editing trick that I'm about to show you if you don't already know it, which is you just omit frames to where you almost lose the frame where you get punched. So let's go right. Let's try. And by the way, I'm not going to get this on the first try. I mean, this is going to require some lifting of various frames because she is moving so slowly. But let's go ahead and try there. So I'm going to lift these 3 frames and see if this provides any more force. Right there already, the punch is looking much more convincing.
Oh, yeah. It looks way better.
Ooh, yeah.
So we could even...
Such a good...
Wow.
Yeah.
It's one of those tricks that I love. It works perfectly.
It's just an editing trick. It's so great. And so if we go through and lift a few extra frames here and
Seth,
there. Yeah.
Speaking of lifting, the chat is very convinced that you are looking a little more swole. Justin Leduc and Michael Palek are both talking about how you must be you're definitely more working out now or something. The traps are protruding a little more, things like that. And also, Sunny's here. Hi, Sunny.
How kind of you. I'm doing nothing for my traps. I'm honestly just taking walks like a healthy person should, and trying to eat a little healthier and drink less. Part of that was going up into Toronto, up to TIFF. I knew I was going to be having my picture taken a lot, and I just wanted to feel good about myself. And turns out when you take care of yourself, you feel better. So
hey,
I appreciate that. Whether you're joking or not, I do appreciate it. That's very kind of you. So now Olivia is just beating the living shit out of me in this shot. So that is the easiest trick. And honestly, more often than not, the most effective. And especially when you add sound effects, that's going to be everything.
Because what's cool about it is that even if you frame through it, it's not, it just feels if you're used to framing through something that you think, oh man, that impact must have happened just before this and just after that, and it just works.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I need to teach Olivia how to cavalcock the biceps 100%. One of my favorite things from any fight scene in recent years is Henry Cavill cocking his fists for no reason.
Ready to go.
Reload.
So now I'm trying to figure out what I can do. I'm trying to find a good shot where I can do the famous arm extension. The problem is Olivia is standing so far away from me in all of these. It's going to be absurd. So the idea of the arm extension is that you, here's one where I tried to do it, and it kind of helped a little bit. So what's going on here? Actually, this one works pretty well.
It does work in full motion. That works.
Yeah. So what's happening here is I lifted a couple frames, but also this frame makes no sense. If you watch right here, because her arm is way too long. And the reason for that is I extended her arm just for that frame, and I did a little a little liquefy thing. So if let's see, I thought I did. Maybe I didn't liquefy myself here. Oh, no, I did. Right here? No, that's just the arm. So I think what I was going to do next was going to liquefy my own face too, as one does. You
Love
apply
these terms.
You apply liquefy to the plate here, and then let's just look at it. And I'm gonna little hand, the merging. I'm just gonna have my face gets real scrunched there. So now her weirdly warped arm is weirdly warping my face, just for that frame.
Basically, the further the distance you need to cover, the more of the punching person you should stretch.
Yes.
If that makes sense. So, like, if she's missing you by an inch, then you can probably just extend, the wrist and fist a little bit to make it contact there, because that won't look that unusual. But if she's missing you by half a foot, then you need to kind of stretch the whole arm, I feel like, starting from as far back as you can. So if you're kind of going through it proportionally, the arm still feels okay. Unless you're doing a little a one-piece effect.
Amazing.
I also found lifting a couple frames from where her arm kind of hangs around at the end there. That was kind of giving away her actual slower pace of so now it feels like, so right there, those are two old-fashioned ways to go about punching your dad in the face safely. The dog, my dog though, is giving away everything with, it's like, ideally you're shooting an action scene handheld or with a camera moving, you've got more energy in life. And so these cuts and stuff are they're going to feel like just part of the energy. Right now, my dog is moving around. It's like the Homer Simpson, the clock in the background.
Holding up a clock.
Yeah, it's the dog. My dog is holding up a clock and the hands are moving all over the place.
Oh my goodness.
So, it's 1 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to take a quick break and come back and do something else?
I think we should take another quick break and then come back. I might reconsider my life during the break, and we'll figure this out.
We'll be right back, and we'll find out what Hashi decided to do with his life after this.
You're watching VFX and Chill with Hashi and Seth. And let's not forget Michael.
Let's not forget my soul.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, Sophia is here. Sophia?
Hi.
Hello, Sophia.
How are
And
you?
there's also a Jamie in the chat.
Jamie?
So hi, Jamie.
Jamie!
So good to see you both.
Welcome,
How are
family. Incredible.
I am very tired.
you? You what?
Today was
We walked to Victoria Park. Apparently, we decided to go the long way there.
The long way. Wow.
The long way, and then we went back, and then it was time to go home, and then I had to go editing, and then walk home. Tired.
You got to
We
be
have to
tired, I'm sure.
get
I'm
to
tired
school
just hearing
and
that.
then take a walking field trip that goes past our house to a park and then past our house again back to the school.
And then back home. So you had to pass the house twice, knowing that you could just easily get there.
And the event was a charity walk too. So in
hey,
between we're
you were
walking.
benefiting
so,
others.
So many
Yeah,
things.
it's the Toby Fox one. Flash.
Well, way to go. You got your exercise. I hate getting exercise, but walking I found is the easiest way to do it. Michael, is there any company news that we should talk about?
Just kidding. Tune in next week for some live streams from NAB Show in New York. It's the 9th and the 10th of October. Maxon will be live streaming of Rocktober.
Got it.
It's October is there's 2 events happening. I don't think we're live streaming from Adobe Max, but there's if you're at Adobe Max next 2 weeks, come chill with us. We'll be doing cool stuff at the Maxon booth at Adobe Max too. But this week or next week is NB Show New York. I believe there's 2 presentations on the 10th that are showing off red gianty things, if you're of that nature, and a bunch of cool Cinema 4D and ZBrush for iPad stuff going on both days.
Awesome.
Incredible. Be there.
Be there. Be there.
And there's definitely not anything coming out next week that I'm not supposed to talk about at all.
Well, that's good to know. I was going to ask about that. Speaking of next week, we're off next week, just so everyone knows.
That's true. We are. Yeah, there's no show next week on the 11th.
There will be a show.
We will be back on the 18th with special guest Brielle Garcia. It should be a fun one. Brielle is Taco Lamp on Snapchat and Twitter and all those lovely things, and makes amazing live interactive snap lenses and things like that. Has helped us out with a couple of things, including our But with Raptors attempts at things, and we'll maybe figure out some cool real-time effects on that show. So be sure to come by.
Do it. Do it right now. So, where were we? What were we doing? I got distracted by a comment, which was that we need more 80s saxophone riffs. And I agree, we do. I'm trying to remember if we have a drop that has... Does this one? No, that needs a saxophone riff. I don't know why it doesn't have it.
Does.
Anyway. Hash, how goes it?
Let me just summarize the rest of this one real quick. So, I am happy that we figured out this, forced perspective for
That's
this
a fun
last
frame
shatter.
right there.
So
That's
there we go.
fun.
So now we've kind of got this. What's kind of cool about the shatter effect is you can do things like keyframe the position of the shatter, like the shattering object. So if I decided to put a keyframe here, when I'm finally reaching through the glass like this, I can maybe just slowly move the position over like that. And what you'll sort of get is little pieces of the glass can
You'll
fly
have to turn
off.
down the
The force,
I will have to turn down the
force
strength
is a little
here.
strong, yeah.
Get me out of here!
We'll,
I'm
keyframe the
glass!
strength down to basically 5. See if that's enough to make it so now if I disturb some of these pieces, they'll just sort of fall over and fall back into the plane, or out of them if I wanted to. So it was effectively just this to do this effect, and then I turned the opacity of this layer down until it looked appropriately like a reflection to me, and then put in these 2 little wood posts that actually Sophia made for me in Photoshop, which I put right in front like that. And once those are in front, I could also throw in just a random, I think this is just a still frame of somewhere else that just looks like something is reflecting in the glass. Doesn't really matter. And then if you want to even go an extra step, you can do stuff like this, where you put, starting from the very back, you could actually put in wood posts way back here behind everything. And then, you'd have to roto out this award and everything like that to be sitting in front of it.
Can I say,
Like so.
every shot that every plate I've shot in my office, people don't realize, but I've had to roto out an award in every one of them because there's so many, and they're always in the way,
So many.
and distracting. So I'm constantly having to roto out awards just to get normal footage of myself.
Your Emmy, your multiple Grammys.
You went ahead and named 2 that I don't have, so
Fine.
keep going. Keep going until you get to the
Dove.
Christian Music Dove Awards.
I know you have Dove Awards.
I have a Dove Award, weirdly, and a Webby, and a Music Bed Film Fest Award. It's something else fun. Anyway, how did we get on this? Oh, I brought it up. So back to you, Hush, and your awards.
Back to me and my awards. We just once you have all these pieces kind of together, you just kind of get the impression of a little glass case, which is kind of cool. And I love that there's this kind of effect where you see, there's some reflection here and not here. And I do feel like I want to honor, I don't remember if it was Jason or Michael, someone suggested in the chat that I add some light sweep, which I will do right now.
Michael Powell says Seth has a Mr. Universe award back there. Yeah, he probably does. And a Mr. Magic Bullet, and a Mr. VFX Suite, and a Mr. Trap Code.
Excellent.
Digital magic.
Fine, we're not working out. It's all visual effects. George gave me away.
So even though the angle wouldn't be the same, I see that there is a rim on my hand right there, and I'm going to use that as a as sort of the thing to mimic over here. So I'll imagine that there's sort of a sweep in the exactly. And there are all sorts of extra things that you could do here. Obviously, my glass is not landing on the table and stuff like that because the simulation is very limited. But one of the things that I'd mentioned earlier is that maybe I could do a more complex version of this using Cinema 4D. So that is the next thing that I could
You could
think
also
of that I might be able
augment
to
it
do.
with some Action VFX or Production Crate.
Absolutely.
glass
If I was just
stuff.
doing this if I were doing this for TV, I would just throw in some Action VFX plates into here. And one of the cool things about the CC glass effect or the shatter effect, I mean, is you can have it render all, which is everything, including the pieces falling down here, or you can have it render the layer, which is just this part, or just the pieces separately. So like this would be invisible until there were pieces, and then they'll appear on one layer.
Excuse me.
For my comp, I just had them all turned on. But what's nice about being able to grab the mat of this is you could lay in a shattered glass texture or cracked glass texture under this, and it would look even more realistic. And then you could also grab some Action VFX glass, bouncing around, landing, and just layer it right on top of this, and you probably wouldn't need to do anything more to convince people they probably broke some glass for that. Anyway.
I like to say that about anything impressive. They probably broke some glass for that.
Man, look at that. That's how I can tell it's going to be a quality film. So when I was watching John Wick and they were breaking glass and stabbing people, I thought,
They probably broke some glass for that. Some sweet, sweet glass.
Speaking of
Mr.
using
Glass.
VFX to make action movies safe, if you want some nice realistic,
whoopsie.
Stop
realistic,
screenshotting in Skype.
if you want some really good gunfire, if you need gunfire for your scene for any reason, Bang, which is part of the Red Giant VFX suite, is a really good tool for adding very realistic muzzle flashes.
Let's see what happens if we add a muzzle flash to my daughter's punch.
Well, I'm just saying it gives you realistic gun stuff without actually having to use blanks, which can be dangerous. So all I was gonna
They
say.
can be dangerous. Boo 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 bang. Let's see. Boo 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 bang. Let's put.
On an unrelated
here.
note, I heard an Alec Baldwin movie just got a release date today, 3 years
Nope,
later than
we're not making
expected.
any jokes about that.
I'm not
That
making
is-
a joke. I'm just
Yeah.
no. I've talked about this before in person to people. I don't think I've mentioned it on the show. What is really, really cool about Bang is that it's so fast and easy to use. Stunt teams can and have used it to do previs stuff when they're designing
Yes.
an action scene. They use Bang because it's so fast and easy to use. They could just quickly knock it together so they could send to the director to help the director really see what their choreography they're planning is doing. But it also has it just renders so beautifully, and it gives you pieces that you would need to use in comp, like a distortion mat for the heat blur and stuff like that. So it can be used for really quick stunt team work to get a good, just help get the idea of the scene across. But it also has got a high enough quality to be used in final film work, which it can be done and has been done. So but I love Bang. It's so good for making gunfight safer.
100%. Speaking of safety, Hashi, can I see what you're doing?
So, Jamie, if you're watching the stream, I was looking back at some old unfinished videos that we made, and one of them was this one where you did a very over, on the, we'll say the cliffs of Hawaii, I guess. And boy, did I think that this would preview faster than this.
Well, I mean, look how young Jamie is. It's previewing very slowly.
Goodness sake.
Yeah, it's using After Effects speed from back when Jamie was this size.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? I think I might have, speaking of which, I think I might actually have told After Effects to not be rendering ahead of me.
Don't be
there
fast.
We go. Don't be fast.
Don't breakfast.
All right, I'm going to close this, and I'll save that.
That's
All right,
just
so
Just don't read the
earlier
chat
we
this
were...
episode.
Oops, what did I do? Goodness gracious. I'm giving away the whole gag. Reload. All right. Well, you know what? Let's just redo this shot. That was the whole point of this anyway, right? Okay. So, inspired by that cool Charlie Chaplin shot of roller skating, here's a fun. This is a real little fun rope swing that Jamie did here, which is pretty cool.
So you're taking a real stunt and going to augment it with VFX to make it look more dangerous. Great.
Exactly. So what I was thinking that I could do is I could find sort of it's a pretty simple, not a lot of camera movement, but maybe we'll find somewhere kind of like this in the middle, and I will press the handy dandy create reference frame button right here. And what that should do is it will open up this frame in Photoshop. There we go.
Just the way in Photoshop.
Photoshop.
All right. So I'm going to use Photoshop to augment what Jamie is swinging over here. So right now it's just this small little creek bed. But I know that I need kind of a plate that's a little bit wider than this shot. So I'm going to use a handful of Photoshop tools. I'm going to go to the crop function, but I'm going to expand. So I'm expanding up, down, and below a little bit, just so I have a little bit extra space. And without typing anything in this box down here, I'm just going to click Generate. And it's going to sit there, and it's going to think about it for a second, and it's going to come up with what it imagines was around here using a generative fill. So it came up with some interesting ideas.
Do we not have a generative fill drop? What happened to our generative fill guy?
Generative fill?
Are you here with
Generative
us?
fill.
Excellent. So it came up with these three options.
Excellent. Thanks. Excellent.
This option actually does feel like it looks similar to what was really there. This one a little bit as well. But what's interesting is that I just want to preserve, in some way this real part of the action right here. So I might make a little reference layer for myself there. But down here, I want to figure out how this could look more dangerous. So I'm going to be using a fun tool. It's a combination of the generative fill tool and a generative fill PHIL, which is actually from Jason Murphy. I should pull up. Let's see, we call this out in some of our previous episodes. I want to get the link up. Hey, it's Generative Fill. How you doing, Gen Phil? Incredible. So what I'm going to do first off is just in Photoshop in this much wider canvas that I have, I'm going to select sort of the area of action right here, and then invert my selection. And now I'm going to run generative fill again, and I'm going to say top-down view of a cliff face over the ocean. And I have no idea what it'll come up with, but we might as well try it. Oh, that's pretty cool, actually.
I like that one.
Pretty cool.
So we've got
That's
this,
actually
this
great.
option.
Good lord.
We've got this option, which is,
Yes.
and man, good gracious. Okay, man, audience, I don't know.
Boy,
What do we
crime,
think?
I don't know.
We got option A, option B, and option C. Audience. Obviously, no one wants option B. So A or C, folks, in the chat.
I think, let me see A again. Let me see C. Oh, A, 100% A.
I like A best.
Yeah.
I
Excellent.
think the angle is more fitting.
All right, so we're gonna
Some
save
nice
this whole.
says 3 looks the most dangerous, even though A, B, and C were the options we were
nights
giving.
I say that 3 looks most dangerous. No one else thought of that? Okay.
It's pretty good. I saw
It
a
is.
good
Thanks.
mashup of that and Simon and Garfunkel's Cecilia, which they're definitely sister songs. All right, I'm going to save this as Cliff02, and then we're going to go do a little Charlie Chaplin here.
We're making drinks?
All right. Exactly. We are going to camera track this shot. And so right now we've got a lovely camera track of this. It's just a nodal, pan, no depth or anything like that. But if I import that image that we just made, I'm just going to do it as footage, all merged. Whoops. I accidentally checked Photoshop sequence. I don't want the sequence. I just want the one. There we go. So now I can bring in this layer, and I'm going to make it a 3D layer, and then I'm going to make it semi-transparent and use that to try to line this up with the original shot, which is sort of right around here. The angle is probably a little bit off because this is a 3D card now and sort of placed in 3D space. I just want to get close enough, so I have this here. And now I'm going to, on top of this layer, let's turn its opacity all the way up, and then I'm going to draw kind of my, a little mask that sort of fits around this little area that it added here. Something like that. And then I'm going to turn this into a subtract mask. Okay? And I'll feather it just a little bit. So everyone can tell what we have here is a 3D tracked scene, real footage of Jamie here. And I'm going to, I luckily actually already do have a slightly roto-brushed copy up here. So what we should have now is, if I watch through this. All right, so we'll need some consideration over what's happening with this tree. But here is the overall effect here. Oops. Okay, so we've got a little bit of camera angle questions in my head. But because we have a little bit of roto-brushed Jamie here, I can restore that rope a little bit more. But the goal would be to have the swing clearly go way out over
Pretty fun, to be
the
honest.
cliff there, and then come back.
You need like sharks or something jumping up and snapping, like crocodiles or sharks,
Oh yeah.
or just one big like. Or
Or there's just a rope bridge from Temple of Doom that's happening at the exact same time.
yeah, I do like just a giant mosasaur or something coming up and slowly snapping right as Jamie comes back out of the.
Nice.
I
All
know
right,
we have
so
a Mosasaurus
now
shot
that I
from
can
that
see-
Fast and the
now that I
Furious
understand the
episode.
angle a little
We
bit
do.
better, I can tell that
That's
this top
pretty
down
great,
is a
Hosh.
little extreme.
Hosh, that's
But,
freaking fun as heck, dude.
It's basically just the Charlie Chaplin effect, which is pretty cool.
And I wasn't paying attention. Did you track this camera track or track it just with 2D?
I did it as a camera track because it's a little bit. So there's a little bit of like nodal pan
It looks
distortion
freaking
going
great,
on here.
man. The movement is what makes it feel so organic.
It's pretty fun.
I agree. I'm gonna turn.
I'm kind of
it on.
curious. Like it's kind of fun to have this weird little cliff segment. Like, it's like I could just move it right up like that. It kind of works anywhere. This is terrifying.
Brian the White is asking, how would you make the water move, Hashi?
That's a very Hashi question.
Oh,
I
that's.
mean,
see,
I know what
that-
I would do.
Okay, well before we decide that, I also think you could add a little dust kit on when he kicks off when Jamie kicks off from the edge.
Absolutely.
YouTube's
All
the
right.
edge.
So so we have this moment right here. Let's see. I'm going to try to figure out. I love that there's sort of this natural,
Yeah.
thing that is sort of where step was to begin with. I don't know if I should move this whole asset up like this. If that kind of just works.
Let's see.
Maybe if I can paint the tree branch back. There's a little bit of levels issues going on here.
Yeah, you got to do it like that. That's so precarious. It's great.
Oh gosh, so dangerous. So dangerous. I'm going to move this down, maybe over a little
It's
bit.
so fun how well that works, just moving it around because of the mask. Like,
It is surprising because it's just the way organic things kind of mask together is just, but so fortunate. It just works so well. Let's see what this tree branch does in real life. It goes into some grass over here. So I might need to figure out.
I would send that to
just
I would send
key
that to
the green.
Photoshop through
Yeah.
reference frame, and then that's the best place just for that. Just to select it and then do select and mask, and that gives you really, really nice organic edges.
Yeah. For the tree or for the cliff?
The tree. Just like turn your mask off and send a frame where you have the most amount of tree over to create a reference frame, and then get the mask, the selection tool, whatever and select it. But then the trick is, right click on it and click select and select and refine or select something. I forget.
Yeah,
what
I think
it's
select and
called.
mask. All right, so now we've got the section of the branch there, and then I can right click and say select and mask.
And then just
And that'll-
click the smart radius. Don't do anything else. Smart radius, and then turn that up to like 25% or right around there, I'd say. Anywhere between there and in between the middle. And then click OK. Honestly, that's going to be enough for you.
Perfect.
And then layer via copy. And then just save, and then go back to After Effects.
All right, and we'll come back in here and save. It should update in just a second there.
So turn your mask
whoops.
back on back there.
Reload.
Well, that's your background. Like turn your mask. It probably is already there.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just have to.
Oh, whoops.
You got it.
There we go.
So now you'll just have to, it's one frame, so you'll have to extend it, which if you had my freeze expression, yeah, you could do it with one click.
Oh, let's see. I do have, I think, my own copy of that. Where is it? Oh, man. This is the thing that I was making fun of you for the other day.
I know.
Okay, I think I pressed this button, and it quickly does a freeze frame and extends it the whole way. Cool.
Freeze. Just got to make sure it's tracked in.
Oh, yeah.
You want to track it.
I could just say 3D, and then let's do a quick power pin.
Power pin.
So I'm just leaving it, at like 0, 0, 0. This is basically what I did for that onward tutorial. Was we just sort of count on it being about in the right place and then doing that. So now it should be 3D and it should be tracked in with the camera move. And once this roto got refined, it would be great. And the end of this clip has this great
yeah, that's terrifying. Hey, on your roto brush, do you have motion blur turned on in your roto?
I felt like I did, but I don't feel like I see it.
You do, right? Okay.
What I could do is I could add some motion blur on top of it. I want to look for the last point where there's this. See, the amazing thing about this physical performance is like there's this moment where Jamie is trying to catch the edge there and loses it a little bit. So what I think we need to do is take the this cliff, move it down. So wherever that last slip is, looks like it is a spot where it's almost landed. It's right there on the edge, but then here's where you could add, some more dust and stuff falling off. Look at that.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yes, you need some dust falling for sure.
Goodness.
Hashi, remember when you were worried about this episode that we weren't going to have anything fun to do?
I was.
Alonso Perez Yaksik wants you to add channel blur 5 or 10 in alpha. But I think Super Comp might give you some better options here for that sort of thing.
Well, with that kind of intro, you can't not immediately go into using that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to turn on motion blur for my cliff layer. I'm going to, let's see. Oh, the other thing that I was going to do, someone had this question earlier. I'm just going to go over to our good old buddy Artlist, and I'm going to say top down.
We need to make
Ocean.
The Artlist intro from the show Artlist and change it to Artlist, but keep everything the same.
All right. So here's what I was counting on. I was pretty sure that someone has this drone footage that looks like this. Let's see. Let me remind myself what I'm imagining. So it's kind of along a cliff there. Let's see. Maybe. Wake up, you silly website. Are you?
Wake up.
I just want to type up here. Top down ocean. Let's add cliff. Oh, here we go. Yes, it's even static.
How does that look exactly like your plate, like your generated plate? That's incredible.
This is the luck of the.
Oh my gosh, dude, it's so perfect.
Comping luck.
I'm so excited by how perfect that is. Oh my god.
Gosh, ridiculous. Okay, so we'll save this right here. As wait, did I say save? Okay, good. All right. So now, what's kind of nice is I could say I'll turn my cliff layer into a pre-comp, but I'm going to leave all of the attributes in here. That way I can dive into it, and it just looks like this. And I'm going to load in that piece of stock footage. Did I save it to footage? Go. Okay, so let's drag this over here. Look at that. Pretty similar. One thing that I do need to take a look at, and this is always my downfall with these action movie kids kind of things is that they're always long takes. Like this is a 13-second shot, which is long for a VFX shot.
Remember that time that you
kind of
3D tracked the heads of that Last of Us plate that you didn't even bother to turn to a plate? It was like a 5-minute long oneer, and you 3D tracked the whole damn thing.
Oh my gosh, look at this. Okay. I'm just guessing. I knew that it was in slow-mo, like all stock footage, which is kind of annoying. But so I'm trying to speed it up to what looks like kind of the real-time churning speed, something like that. And what's going to be kind of cool about this is, let's see, I've got to match, like I like the look of this better, so I'm just going to do a little bit of simple, like legacy contrast down. And then let's do our dumb little feathered mask thing and see how much we can get away with. Feather this mask, let's see. There we go. Seriously, this piece of footage is absurdly similar. So obviously I need some more back there. So I'm going to try to take a look.
Paul X right about needing it. Like this kind of effect shot, you always want to add some birds or bugs or something. You could do some birds down there.
Oh, it's only way up here, actually. Oh, yeah. Okay. Looks like it's only here that's actually showing in the shot. Something like that. Let me see how much of it shows. Okay. Oh. One thing that I could do for this is I could look at what is the frame that reveals the most of the ocean, which I think is right here and then I can go over here and say, I click on my comp tab right there, and then I say view, new viewer, and that makes another copy of the viewer right here, and you'll see that it's locked right there. And now I could go over to my little Photoshop file here and kind of look at this live, sort of see where am I putting it within my shot. And okay, it's less perfect all of a sudden. I am missing a little bit here. One thing that I could possibly do is put one copy here and then duplicate it and then just move the copy down there.
That's a very...
Yeah. I mean, it's not horrible.
Certainly not.
So, yeah, I may not get all the way to finish here. Obviously, what I need to do is add some blue into my shadows here, maybe offset these a little bit. But just for kicks, let's see how it's looking. A lot of tonal mismatch, which I think I need to deal with, but the overall effect is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I might search for a little bit better piece of stock footage that lasts longer than this.
Better than that?
It needs to be longer somehow. I mean, that one was... What's hard about that is it is the right angle and static. So many of these are probably going to be drone-y. Right? I'm just going to be chasing it the whole rest of the show if I search for stock live. So, Seth, how are you doing on...
Oh, I'm good. I'm just making an artlist drop.
Oh, my goodness.
And I've never had to track something that rotates 360 degrees over and over and over. I might just want to manually do this. This is dumb what I'm doing.
Okay. This piece of stock is maybe a little bit more helpful.
I mean,
it's longer but it has some wobble that I would need to take out. But it does create a hole, that might fill in the, the hole in my comp better than this does right now. It also looks way further down, so maybe it's too far down. But the whole point of this is to push it kind of extreme, right?
Yeah.
Incredible. All right. All right, I'll download that one.
Sunny is asking if Artlist shows related clips.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
And probably I could have...
It tends to show clips from the collection that's part of. One of the really cool things about Artlist is that it's not just single clips. Each clip is part of a collection. So sometimes that's very useful. You could cut a whole narrative with some of the things. There's one particular user who uploads on there that's got whole car chases with the people in the car from each car's perspective. You can cut a whole action sequence from these stock clips. It's great.
You won't have any scenes around it, to give it context.
Yeah,
but
all right, let's see. Oh, yeah, look at this. There's so if I go into this collection, there's a handful of different views of this cliff face, and there's this one right here that looks static and maybe a little bit wider. So I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna have to audition a bunch of these maybe. But sometimes I end up building the whole VFX shot around the piece of stock footage available.
There's another great cliff face. People may not know a lot about. Here's a good cliff face. I'm a big fan of.
That is a good cliff face.
I don't know if I'm a big fan actually or not. I have no idea. Hopefully this man's politics are just fine. Anyway. Oh, he's dead. It doesn't matter.
All right. What did I just download? I think this shot. Okay, so this is relatively static. It's not perfectly static. And how long is this? This is 11 seconds long, but in slow motion. So now that makes me think that I might need to have to try out this other one, which I think is also slow motion, but it's longer. Will it work better for this piece of footage? I don't know. Let's see. Placed it right on top of my Photoshop thing that we generated out of kind of nowhere. Which again, this is a crazy process. So this could be, I'm unsure on this one. I'm often amazed how well a feathered mask lets you get away with stuff.
Yeah. Story of
there we go.
Careers.
I haven't even stabilized it yet. Okay, let's see here. How does this look? Is that enough movement? No, that looks too far down. Yeah, that one really was perfect. It was a perfect angle. It was just too short. So I'll have to go back to, we'll have to do what we did in that one episode where we loop footage that wasn't meant to be looped.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I can probably do that as long as it has a hole
in its heart.
In and out. It might not. It doesn't. Doesn't have the full. If you looped this as it is, you're missing some of the action here. So like it hits the rock, it starts to seep down, but then it's already coming back up. Oh, it's going to be a hard one to loop. There's not enough information. All right, Hashi is going to do this search offline, but
all right.
I really I really do like that we got this far with something.
Well, it's 1:42. How do we want to wrap up today's episode?
Goodness, I know that we didn't get to stabbing anyone, and even though it is the Halloween season, so apologies for not burying the hatchet.
Yeah, apologies, guys. Now, there was, I haven't really shot anything. I haven't shot anything to be able to stab anything, so sadly, we may not get to stabbing this week. That said, just real quick, find the art list logo and finish this drop. I don't know why I'm insistent on finishing this art list drop. They don't even support the show in any way.
All right. Well, if you're insistent on finishing it, I'll see if I can do some of the other work here.
We do need to mention that we are not going to show. Having a show next week, so it's a great opportunity for you to watch any of those special edition episodes that have been recut with added content, folks.
That's right.
There we go.
Go look them up. There's actually some that have not been labeled special edition. Well, they've not all been labeled special edition, I found. There are some we need to go through and actually clarify which ones they are. I can actually do that for people if you'd like me to real quick. Just give you a rundown real quick of what episodes have special edition content in them.
Ooh, yeah. It feels like it ought to be
it feels like it ought to be a playlist.
A playlist?
It should be. We should probably make that a playlist if we don't already. So, we have... Well, there's only one official special edition. But there's some that you added content... Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. That's this season. There's the season premiere this season. In fact, why don't I just drop some of these links to Michael, and he can share them.
Perfect. I am in the process of just shopping for stock stuff, which is always a not very exciting process. The other thing I could do is I could kind of go and try to fix some of the roto on this that feels a little bit... I think the things that I would do to try to bring back the rope, which I think the roto on the body is pretty good. I might mess with the lighting because it's really clear that we're still in some bright sunlight, but the cliff is so cool, and I might try to either brighten it up a little bit or try to darken using, you know what I would use is my good old friend Light Sweep again. So Light Sweep giveth and it also taketh. So see how I can add this gleam. You can also sample like a shadow color over here, and instead of add as the mode, you could turn it to composite. And I'm going to turn down the edge opacity, but I'm going to turn up the width, and I'm going to turn up the sweep intensity. And look at this. You can basically add a darker value over here. So if you want...
Darker Values was the original name of my short.
Darker Values. So if I just have this sweep intensity on a little bit, it'll stay on this side of the screen. I can decide how wide that little section is. So as we swing over to here, it darkens a little bit instead of being that bright. That might be a little bit too much, but you get it. Helps a little bit there. And then I think to restore the rope, which, my goodness, RotoBrush did try its darndest with the rope. I was not expecting that.
Turn off. Go away, Dave.
But what I would use for this is just the beam effect, probably, and then using that to bring back some of the pixels of the original video. Like so.
Like so.
All right, so here's an example where it gets too blurred out. So I could either generate the rope altogether. I'm going to create a solid. Let's do a black solid, and I'm going to make it 3D. And then I'm going to scale it up a little bit. And the reason for that is now any of the movement that just is coming from the camera, if I create, a beam that is 2 points, it's really likely that the 1 point will stay in the right spot. Let's add beam. Let's say the length is 100. And this is the starting point is up here somewhere on that tree. See, do you see it at the beginning of this? I can't remember if it's on a branch that's higher off screen.
Remember.
Oh yeah, it's higher off screen. So, no worries. I can just imagine that it's up here somewhere and that the rope is right here. And then I can kind of go through, figure out what is the angle it ends up at. And it looks like it's this angle over here. So I'm pretty close. The connection point is probably right here. And now I've got a nice little beam that goes out to it. And I can use that as a take a copy of the footage and do whatever it's called. Little mat that brings it back a little bit. And then I can change the
Matt brings you back.
See if I make the thickness wider, then you get more around the rope, and I can tighten it up and just get a little bit of the rope back, and then do some keyframing of the rope as it swings right here so I don't lose it for that one little section. And how's that drop coming, Seth?
Oh, I shouldn't have brought attention to it. I think it's done. Thank God, right? As we're wrapping up, Michael, is there anything we need to wrap up with? Anything interesting or important?
Hey, like I said, next week we are not going to be chilling live on the YouTubes. So if you want some VFX and chill in your life, check out the links in the chat for some of the special edition episodes.
Special there it
edition
is.
Episodes are fun.
And also,
so for those who aren't aware, these particularly special things are where Hashi especially has gone in, rewatched the old episodes, taken out some of the fluff and stupidity of us acting dumb, and added jokes and info and tightened some stuff up just to make it more useful and more entertaining. Two of the things our show is known for.
Can I recommend a favorite of mine?
You certainly can recommend a favorite, and I would really suggest that you do, in as much as someone has asked that we make recommendations for one or two special editions that are excellent.
Singing Raptors and Moves by Maxon is 100% my top favorite of the special editions. And then
It's really educational too, which is crazy.
Yes.
Like pure learning, but super fun.
That's my pick. Hashi, what about yours?
I would recommend our episode that got banned, related to today, the John Wick and the Infinite Staircase. It's called something like that, which is kind of fun. It's all about trying to turn footage that wasn't meant to be looping into looping. And it also
I
has
like
some
the
fun
crazy After Effects tricks in the
twists and
Finishing
turns.
Indiana Jones episode.
Oh, yeah. Goodness.
Weirdly,
So
there
much
are,
fun.
I'm counting 6 episodes in the chat, and we had 7 special editions.
Oh yeah, there's a second Ghostbusters one that I neglected to put in there.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 Ghostbusters
My goodness.
Afterlives.
That we've
Maybe.
given a new afterlives.
Yeah. And
Hashi,
you know,
has that-
if you're not seeing us cover something that you'd like to see covered, you can go to our amazing suggestion box, which is available at maxonvfx.com/chillbox, where you can just say, hey, do the blank shot from blank or whatever.
From
I think we had
Blank
one
Man. Do the blank
request
shot
that was
from
like,
Blank
hey,
Man.
could you recreate the Matrix bank shootout? I'm like, okay.
Or can you give someone a face like the blank in Dick Tracy?
Yes.
Or could you do, or could you tell me where you're chatting? Well, where all these chats you're referring to are coming from? Because I'm watching on the Maxon channel or some other channel, and I'm not seeing these chats. Well, it's at youtube.com/VFX and chill. Go there and subscribe, please. Subscribing tells our employers we should stay hired. And you want
Absolutely. They're like, I can look at this number and assign it a value to their worth.
And then go check out our friends.
What an age! What a time to be alive.
And when I say check out our friends, our friends here that I'm about to mention, they don't support our show, I don't think, in any way. We pay them for their services, and we're very happy with them. But definitely, that Hashi was able to find stock footage to juice this clip very quickly from our friends at Artlist.
I represent athletes. These are my stories.
So,
worth it.
had not checked the audio on that, and that actually made me very happy. So, anyway, this was a fun episode, everybody. Any last words, Hashi or Michael, before we go?
Well, Halloween season.
I took us to
Send
black.
us your requests, suggestions, and things like that. In the meantime, we're off next week, but we'll be back on the 18th with special guest Real Garcia.
Woo! Absolutely. We'll see you guys. Have a good 2 weeks. Bye.